Okay, welcome back to the channel. It's time for the weekend video. I'm a little bit late in doing it. It's just trying to rain here and it is getting dark. But today's a really good video because I want to talk about what I consider to be the secrets to success of politics in the UK. Now, if you don't already know, in the UK, we have a first past the post system, which has been in effect in England since the Middle Ages, and it has never really changed in the whole time that it's been the system that we've used. And basically what happens is, in a nutshell, that we have constituencies, which are like areas, regions, and what happens is we vote for a local representative, an MP, a member of parliament. And so each constituency votes for the member of parliament, but within that, each party will put up a representative. So you've got, in this country, we are predominantly a two-party system. So we have Labour and the Conservatives, which I'll get onto in a minute. And they put up representatives, and because they're the larger parties, they can put representatives up in pretty much all the constituencies. And you vote for who your favourite is in your constituency. First past the post means that whoever gets the most representatives, you can say, MPs, they then get power. So that's how that works. The problem with it is that it does breed this system of a two-party politics that you hear a lot about. And so they dominate. And that is partly down to geographics, and you can go into safe seats and you can really delve into it really, really deep if you want to. But what it means is that for about 90% of the time since 1935, we've had a single party majority government. I'm reading my notes here, but not one of them has had a majority support from the voters. So since 1935, about 90% of that period, we've had a single party majority government, but they didn't get the majority of the votes in the country. So for me, it's set up for failure right from the start. And this is before they even get into power. So, is it fixed, broken, corrupt? Call it what you want. But I think really we have changed over time. The population's changed, the way we go about our lives has changed, so much has changed, but the system hasn't. It stayed the same the whole time. And so you've got the last Labour government, and I have spoke about this before. They won with less than 34% of the vote. So they get into power, and I did speak about this in the last video. They get into power, and essentially, there's a lot of people out there that don't support them right from the off. As soon as they get, you've got Keir Starmer, who's the Prime Minister, and he is the Labour leader. As soon as he gets in the hot seat, you've got a population, a large majority of the population out there that don't support him, didn't vote for him. So that's that. Now you've got the parties. So you've got the parties, and as I've already elaborated to, you've got a two-party system. And essentially, you've got Labour and the Conservatives that have dominated since 1945, barring the the Conservative Liberal Democrat coalition from 2010. And what a disaster that was, by the way. Nick Clegg and the tuition fees. What do you call it? Fiasco? I don't know. Look it up. It was an interesting time, and we have had some really, really interesting times in politics since then, really. But yeah, the Liberal Democrats are what you consider the third party there, and they've been around for a long, long time. But I think politics is finally changing, although the system isn't. The politics is changing because you've got Reform, who are really, really building up a support base. But essentially, what I really kind of want to get into, and I will put up something on the screen, maybe next to me or throughout the whole screen, which is the triangle that I've come up with. And what I want to try and get to is the fact that you've got left and right. All we ever hear about these days is left wing and right wing, and it dominates politics now. It absolutely dominates politics. It's kind of more important than policy. I mean, we're kind of at this point, and America are terrible for it, I'm afraid to say. The Americans, you're really, really bad. It's kind of almost like you want to know whether someone's left wing or right wing before you even decide whether you're going to engage with them. It's madness, and that's how it has got, unfortunately. So we've got this crazy system, and it was actually the terms left wing and right wing actually come from the French Revolution, and essentially, let me get this right to make sure, there was the left wing and the right wing, and the left actually wanted to get rid of the monarchy, and the right wing didn't, and that was basically where those terms come from, and here we are using them all the time, which is just crazy. So left wing and right wing, it really does matter. But you do have what we call centrist, which is maybe what you could call more of a modern terminology. But essentially, what I'm getting at is you've got the left and the right, and then you'll see the triangle, and at the top I've put centre, because you need to get a majority to get anywhere. So you got past all the system issues, and you've got into power, and you've got your majority, and you've got all your MPs. Now you've got all these MPs sat in House of Commons, you've got your majority, and we kind of get onto the fact that they don't all agree on everything, because you've got the split in the parties, you see. So you've got some people that are left and some people that are right within the parties, and I'll get onto manifestos in a second, because that is kind of where it all builds upon in the general election. But essentially, you get in, and this is where like whips come in. And if you don't know what whips are, the parties, they have MPs that they assign to make sure that everybody votes in line with the party. So, and this has been really, really prominent in our politics recently, because you've had what you call the rebels. Constantly hear about the rebels. And it is really, really interesting, because these parties get into power and they cannot get away from the divide in their parties, and it ruins them. It absolutely eats them up, because they haven't got the majority of people all on the same side, or singing from the same hymn sheet, if you want to say. And it just makes entertainment, should we say. It's crazy to think that these people are running our country, because all you ever hear about is the votes and getting the votes over the line, and then the whips are trying to get all of their MPs to make sure they're going to vote how the party want them to vote. And they don't always, and it's more prominent now, where they really, really do not toe the line and vote, because they're passionate. And you've got these left fragments and right fragments in the parties just absolutely tearing shreds out of each other. And so the party is basically powerless in power. And you've got the Prime Minister who's powerless in power. And it really is absolutely crazy. So, yeah, that's really what I wanted to cover today. And essentially, you look at the secrets to success in UK politics, and what they have to do to succeed basically leads to a system where they get into power, and then they're fighting themselves. It's just infighting, because they've managed to get all these people together based on the geographics and elements like that at a local level, and then they get all their MPs together, and it's an absolute disaster. And so they really struggle to get policy and get change through. So it's a funny old system, but essentially I believe that if we really, really want to have real change, then you are looking at a system where you've got a majority of people that are all on the same page. It's going back to that, the votes, where you've got the Labour government who don't have the votes. They don't have the votes of the people. They've got a minority. So let me know what you think about this. I'm going to spin around and walk back now the way I've just come. It is very, very dark. Well, not really, but it's getting that way for the camera. Let me know what you think. I'd really like to have a chat about it, because I think it's a crazy broken system personally, but things can be done differently. But it needs people to come together. It needs people to compromise and forget about all the left and right rubbish, because realistically we all want to do well, we all want to prosper, and to do that all we've got to do is just all vote in the same direction. But of course now we're split into two, where it very much is almost like representation for the left and the right, and they feed off of it, and so all of a sudden the political system is based around the left and right wing, and so we're being pulled apart, and it is getting worse. I think you can agree, not just in the UK, but politics is almost like you're a left leaning or a right leaning, and you're being dragged. They want you to be extreme left, extreme right, or a far right, as they like to say, is a really prominent terminology. And the reason why they want to do that is because it gets you fired up. It gets you really, really engaged and fired up. And so you go out and you vote for them. So the politics is just like, it's just really trying to get you drummed up and angry, really. And we don't need to, because all we want to do, let's go back to it. It doesn't matter what you want to do, whether you're saving to go traveling, or you want to, progress and become a manager from whatever role you're in. You want to run a marathon. It doesn't matter. You just want to do well at it. It doesn't matter what you're trying to do. You want to do well at it. And that's all we all want to do, is do well. And we're not. We are in decline. And so things have got to change. But anyway, if you could like and subscribe, please, that would be great. And I shall see you on the next video. And thanks for watching. Bye-bye.